What is happening, everyone? It's Ben Vibrant here. I'm just going to go over a really simple way in explaining what a loudness meter is, why you need to use it in a track, and if you haven't seen my mastering video, check out after this because you need to understand how a loudness meter works before you start mastering a track. So I'm going to go to the Waves one here and use my Waves loudness meter plus. And if you are liking the track featured, it is called The Future. Big ups to D&BB Records for releasing this one of mine. So let's get down to it. So on Logic here, this is where you can find the loudness meter if you don't have the Waves loudness meter. As you can see, it has the short-term loudness and the long-term loudness. Exactly the same as the Waves loudness meter. So essentially what a loudness meter does is that it measures the overall loudness of the track. It will give you the short-term loudness and it will give you the average loudness, which is also stated as a long-term loudness. And this is really important to understand because if you're mixing a track or if you're mastering a track, there will be different loudness requirements for different release platforms. So if you look at the short-term loudness going up and down, that's basically taking the last 3 seconds of audio output and measuring it. So every 3 seconds there was a new measurement of the short-term loudness. And every single second of the short-term loudness being going up in amplitude or going down in amplitude will equal your long-term average. So that is why when you master a track, it is really important to have the track play throughout and not just loop a specific part, because if you looped it, it would only show you your short-term loudness for the whole track. So when you master a track, you will need to know what Lufs you want to master to. For example, Spotify is around, I think, -15. YouTube's roughly the same, but if you release out on a DJ set, it will be a lot more. So it's always good to know what Lufs you need to mix or master to. So we are just going to look at the long-term loudness here, and I am just going to reset it again and play it from the beginning. Always important to do if you want to get a new reading of the track and if you're starting it from the beginning again. So reset it and let's play. Let's just look at the loudness meter long term, and to find this reading you want to play at least the full track or the majority of the track. And this is the same if you're mixing a podcast or if you're mixing in post-production with a loudness meter. You want to be able to play the whole project, track, loop, whatever you're doing. And as you can see, the long term is slightly changing to the short term loudness there. So it just dropped from a 12 down to 11. And if you're wondering what Lufs stands for, it means loudness units relative to full scale. And loudness units are basically the same as decibels, except they attempt to factor in the ways in which our ear-brain system interprets loudness based on the tonal balance of a sound. So for example, if you did an alteration to the EQ, the dB will stay the same, but the Lufs might change. The true peak level aims to show the peak level that will actually come out of the digital to analog converter. So that's just a really basic description of what a loudness meter does. I could go into more detail about the range, loudness units, but I think just understanding the basics of short-term, long-term and peak value is the most important when using a loudness meter. So now you understand how to use the loudness meter, it is really important to understand loudness units and exactly what digital platform you want to release on. For example, on YouTube, the loudness units relative to full scale is completely different to a mastered electronic track that we played on a DJ set. Another example is when you mix in post-production, say if you're doing an advert, a TV program, you'd be looking at roughly -23 Lufs in comparison to when you're mastering a music track and you're looking at -15 Lufs for Spotify. So it's just little things like that you have to pay attention to if you want to become a mastering engineer or a mix engineer. So thanks for watching everyone, and don't forget to subscribe.